Hello, 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 hello. Welcome everyone to Prowess Project Goes Live. As I always say this, but my favorite part of the week are these Wednesdays lives where we're either talking all about everything OBM or bringing on just truly incredible guests that I have had the absolute pleasure of meeting along the way. But as many of you know, to get started, I want to hear a little bit about you. So into chat, put into chat, what podcast are you binging right now? What podcast are you binging right now? Hey, Stephanie, what's up, girlfriend? Hey. What podcast? I think my internet's being a little wonky, isn't it? Can y'all? Ooh, hello, the basement. Tim Ross. Awesome, Jennifer. I binge Netflix instead of podcasts. Um, Working moms. Yes. So good. Yes. Awesome. I have been listening to a lot from Wisdom from the Top. It's from NPR, but the same people as How I Built This. It's been fantastic. I'm listening to the one on Dunkin' Donuts now. All right, everyone. So, as always, who am I? Ashley Connell, CEO and founder of Prowess Project. What does Prowess Project do? We vet and train, most of the time, caregivers who want to pivot into their career so they have more flexibility, or just women who are burnt out of the 9 to 5 butts and seats and want to use their patchwork quilt and all their operations, know how to work for themselves. So, we train them, match them up with jobs, coaches, consultants, the true visionaries who have the idea and have absolutely no idea how to make it happen. So, as I said at the very beginning, I am pumped to bring on a guest. As you know, Leah and I can give you a lot of the good, bad, and ugly, but I really love bringing on all of the amazing people that I've gotten to meet. And so today I'm very excited to introduce all of you to Catherine Cantey. And yes, I can absolutely go through exactly what she's done and who she is, but I always think it's better when she or someone introduces themselves. So with that, welcome, Catherine. How are you today?
I am awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley. I love your energy and I love getting to talk with you before. So I've really been looking forward to this conversation. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And for everyone in the audience, you know how it works. Please feel free, if you have any questions for Catherine, put them in the chat. And if you are watching this from or on the recording, send us an email at hello@Prowess Project, and we will absolutely get those questions over to Catherine. So, Catherine, give us the quick and dirty of how you got to where you are now.
All right, quick and dirty. I'm a lifelong learner. I have disrupted a lot of stuff. I've been given a lot of access to a lot of stuff that nobody would normally be given to within large banks. And I ran with it and continued to grow and continued to get promoted and continued to have conversations with people that nobody else would normally get to have. I learned a bunch, drank from a fire hose. One thing led to another, which led to me going out on my own after 20 plus years of growing and learning in corporate. So about 3 years ago, I went out on my own and I was like, gosh, how do I just keep paying it forward? All these incredible people paid it forward to me. They didn't know it, but like I'm forever grateful. And they helped me and I just want to help other people. And so a couple years ago, I got certified as a master executive coach with Marshall Goldsmith. And we create measurable leadership change working with teams and individuals. And we use practical applications. And life doesn't have to be that hard to get noticed for the work you're doing and to get paid for the work that you're doing. So if I can teach other people, that's what I want to do.
Oh, Catherine. Oh, I mean, hello. Amazing. First, how did you get access to all of this secret amazing stuff? You're coming in here with all of this confidence. I can feel it through the screen. Like, I want to bottle that up. Like, how did you do it?
I don't know. I mean, you just take, well, I do. You take one step at a time, and it's ugly, and you trip and you fall, and then you trip and you fall again, and then you trip and you fall again, and you trip and you fall again, and then you just continue to show up. And I think in the end, consistency wins. And here I am starting something from scratch, 3 years into it. And maybe at the end of 20 years, I'll be a success, kind of like what I was in corporate, because this is just going to take a long time. But if I keep showing up and I keep giving it a shot, keep talking to people like you, Ashley, I believe in the work that you're doing, because I have an amazing support system that makes this happen for me, so I can show up and have energy for you. So yeah, just keep showing up and keep knowing that the work you're doing really matters. And I appreciate the work you're doing. I appreciate the women and the caregivers that you're supporting, because the world needs more of that.
Oh, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love, love, love all of that. So, question to you. You have worked with the most high profile people in the banking industry. You are now working with high execs in all of the different businesses who are now your clients. Can you tell us, for all of the people in the audience who are becoming or already are online business managers and will be working for people like that, sometimes that can feel intimidating. Are there any things that you have noticed about these visionaries or high level executives that you can share with our audience, like what they like, what they don't like? What have you noticed?
They need you. They need the services that you're providing. You have the visionary, and we've all familiar with it. We got to have the visionary, this person that's like dreaming up this crazy stuff, and then they can't do it, or they don't realize they can't do it, but soon they will realize they can't do it. And they got to find somebody who can execute. And you have nothing but a plethora of executors, people who do not take excuses. If you're raising kids, you do not take excuses. If you're taking care of your parents, you don't have time for excuses to take them to the doctor and get all the results and listen to them whine about their hips and their elbows and everything else along the way. Like, you're looking for solutions. And the visionaries that you're supporting, they need you. And you can connect with them by sharing your personal stories about how you're not taking excuses. You're a problem solver. You don't have to have constant reinforcement and this nourishment of, hey, I need to have more and more and more and more feedback. Just run with it and build them up and build that success. But just like success, we got to have these small steps, and we got to be able to consistently show up. So you consistently show up and you consistently make other people look good and you pay it forward. I think you're going to be just the most valuable asset that visionary can have.
I love that you pointed out using personal stories and personal examples versus all professional. I think that that's really, really key, and something that a lot of people undervalue or underutilize. But given that you've spoken to so many, like I said, high level visionaries, the fact that that's your advice is amazing. I'm so glad to hear that.
It's your experience. So let's think about it. You've got your experience, and if you're transitioning from home care, and you've done an amazing job, because anybody who can run a house and like run everything that's going on, you're like leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else. Because just like the scheduling, oh my God, I'm putting out summer schedules right now of like this pod of moms of what are we going to do with these kids all summer. And we're all like switching out notes. If that's not a business meeting and a strategy session for the next quarter, that's life. And if you can manage all of that, then you can manage meetings, you can manage reach outs, you can manage business development. I was just talking to a CEO, and he said, people that get results, like if you truly not just hiring people to put a butt in the seat, but if you're truly hiring people to get results, you're going to pay a little bit extra, but you're actually going to be paying less in the long run because you're getting the result. You don't have to pay extra to get less. You're going to get the result. They just come in and they work at an exponential rate. And so you're going to be able to have that delivery and be able to have that. And it took me a long time to figure this out, to the point where at home I was called Katie, at work I was called Catherine. It's a long story, but I really thought I was two separate people. And then it dawned on me I'm the same person at home as I am at work. The sooner we realize it, the sooner we can realize the value we bring at home can be the same value that we can bring into work. So if you can bring those experiences in, it's a great thing. And when I was starting out on my own, I left corporate. I had to go build up stories and experiences that weren't necessarily tied into my work because I was flying under the radar in the beginning. And so I had to go reach out to people who knew me as my character because I knew I could get character testimonies to be able to advertise the kind of person I was until I was ready to take a step out. And so those are personal relationships that we lean on in order to grow our business and grow our opportunities until we're really ready to spread the wings and split and let the world know here we are.
Oh my gosh, yes. So I would say 50% of the women who come to us to be OBMs are the caregivers. 50% are what you just described. They have a career in corporate and they're like, this is kind of toxic. I don't really want to do this anymore. I got to step out. I want to own my own life, business, career. And I love that because they feel like, oh my gosh, I don't have any examples of work. I don't have any experience being an OBM, but it's the character references.
Mm-hmm. So I kind of joke about this. I had a guy, he was retired. He worked with me for 12 years. He was an incredible sponsor. Sponsors are different than mentors, and women don't have enough sponsors.
Can you explain that difference really quickly?
Yeah. So a sponsor is the person who has your back when the door is closed in these meetings. A mentor is just somebody who's going to give you advice. And a lot of women have mentors. They really need sponsors. I had a just incredible sponsor who had my back, who would put me up for whatever project. He'd come in and tell me I'm running with it. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. And he was like, figure it out. And I was like, okay. So I just go figure it out. And it was fantastic. But like every 18 to 24 months, he gave me a new project, a new assignment. Of course, I kept my existing assignments. And then he was just like, here's some more, and here's some more, and here's some more. But I didn't realize it at the time. But he's sponsoring me to be able to take on all this additional work, an opportunity, which allowed me to grow the team, which allowed me to grow myself and be able to grow other people. So big difference between the sponsor and mentor is who has your back when the door's closed. And if you do any kind of committees, any schools, any of that kind of stuff, people have each other's backs when they're pre-planning for events. So who's got your back when you're not in that room? Who's talking about you, and are they saying favorable things? And better yet, who are you sponsoring when they're not in the room? How do you pay it forward that way? Because if you can highlight other people first, they're going to highlight you first when that opportunity opens up.
Wow. Yes. Yes. It is so true. And I never thought about it like that. It really is this whole passing it forward. Oh, this is so great. I want to remind everyone, if you do have any questions, please do put them in chat. I have plenty, so I am happy to continue. So you do a ton of executive coaching, which I absolutely love. What would you recommend for our audience to think about truly leveling up their career?
I love that question. 2 books come to mind. The first one is How Women Rise. If I had it, it's on my shelf. I can't get it. How Women Rise. It's by Sally Halverson. Super easy read. 12 chapters of things. And it's not just for women. She had to pick an audience. So she was like, I'm going to sell more books if I put women on there because I've talked to her about it. And she said, How Women Rise, the 12 mistakes that we do that are holding us back in the workplace. And you can usually find 1 or 2 things in there and you're like, oh, you mean I got to tell people that I worked on that project? They don't notice? Because how many times have we gone into work and our heads down and we are out working other people? I mean, we've been working with somebody right now and the person says, and the 360 came back. The 360 says, this person is out working people above them and at the same level. So now we have acknowledgement, and the leader is saying, how do I get recognized? I know that I drove those customer survey scores way above the mark. I know it was my team. I know that I had a direct impact, but how do these other people get the recognition? And so in the book, it talks a little bit about how do you get that recognition? And how do you become intentional with the conversations that you're having in the workplace to make sure that you are receiving the recognition? How do you negotiate? Because somebody's going to come in and they're going to be like, oh my God, we got this great project. Ashley, don't you want to lead it? And you're like, yeah, take me. I want to do this. And then you're going to do it. And then you're going to be working 8 o'clock at night. And you're going to be like, I hate them. Why am I working like this? They're not paying me any extra. And now I got to do all that. And I got to do this. And it sounded good at the time, but I really didn't negotiate well in the first place. So we got to learn how to negotiate a little bit more intentionally because you know they need you. You're already happy with what you got. Yeah, it'd be cool to do another project. Yeah, I can keep doing that. But don't you know the guys are negotiating a little bit better? They're like, yeah, that sounds good, but yeah, I don't have any more time in the day. And like they play with the emotion. Oh man, that'd be awesome. Really would like to do that. Let me think about it. And so they think about it and they come back. They already know what they want. You know, if I can get a little bump on this, get a couple of employees or whatever, and they have the business plan, they plan it out. They don't just show up and say, I can't do it. I need more people. I need more money. They show the plan, they show the ROI. So, how do we become intentional with it? So, one of the things that might help with leveling up is the book that Sally Halverson and Marshall Goldsmith wrote, which is How Women Rise. Another book that Marshall wrote that a lot of people have read. It's called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And so that's like one of my favorites. And you can it's super easy read. You can get through that thing pretty easy. And just gives you ideas of like, oh my God, I got to do a few things different. Only if you're ready to do a few things different will new things open up.
Oh, so good. It's so good. I want to make sure. Yes. I love Stephanie in the comments. She goes, no, show the money. Yes. Yes.
I
Yes.
love it.
Yes. We need to own that. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Show.
So my sponsor came to me because when they hired me, I was in my early 20s. They hired me at, a low number just to be able to get in the door. And I was happy. I'm like, that's cool. Worked my butt off, just worked whatever hours I needed to. I was available. I was just in the room, like soaking it up, delivering, doing whatever it is I had to do. And then he called me in the office one day and he said, HR called. And I was like, uh-oh. So he said, it seems that you're undercompensated for the work that you're doing. They did studies and like, it's a flag, like you're at this job title and you're not paid here. And we need to either give you a 30% increase over the next 3 years, or I can give you a 30% increase now. And so I just sat there quietly and he's telling me, he's like, HR told me I can scale it over the next 3 years if I need to. Doesn't matter why. I don't know. Well, you know what? You know the midpoint and the max point, and then you've got your low, your max, and your mid. So when you begin to negotiate corporate salaries, you begin to learn about this, but I'll table that for a minute. So he said you can get it all now. They're telling me I can give it to y'all now, or I can scale it over the next 3 years. And I just quietly sat there, just waited for him to finish the story, didn't jump in there and act as energetic as I am right now. And he said, I just decided you work your tail off. You do a great job. I'm just going to go ahead and give you the increase. So the next paycheck you get, you'll go ahead and see that 30% increase. So if you're doing the work, you're getting promoted, don't worry about what the other guys are saying. I didn't know that I was the youngest vice president at that bank named. Only reason I knew was because the other guys were down in the lobby talking about me. And I didn't know what they were saying, but they came to me and said, hey, do you know you're the youngest VP? I was like, no. They're like, well, you are. We all thought we were going to get it, but why'd you get it? What are you doing? I'm like, I'm working. I'm delivering results. I'm showing up. I'm going to the meetings. I'm bringing in new business. I'm doing that. And so I'll never forget, like, apparently they sat around and talked about it and I didn't give 2 cents about it, but it's just interesting. You just show up, get yourself in the room. You do not need to be the loudest person. This is probably the most I've ever spoken in my life, but I just sit quietly, I take it in, and then very strategically drop information in that I think is going to be valuable.
I love that. Yes, the results, they speak for themselves. I am so glad that you had that sponsor. There are so many women that we speak to who do not. And so I love that that is a huge part of what we're talking about today, and really just results, and coming in with the plan. That's just so huge. So I want to shift gears a little bit here. So I know that you have a director of ops or an online business manager, very, very similar. So tell me, how does she support you in your business?
Well, first, I love her. I think she's fantastic. And I knew from seeing other people, and especially seeing my husband, like he hired people before he could afford to hire people. And sometimes you have to make that decision. And I remember somebody telling me, you can hire a virtual assistant for 2 hours a week. And I thought, ooh, that's like non-committal. I got 2 hours of stuff around here anyway. This would be fantastic. And I don't know if it's all going to just be about my work, but if she can manage some other stuff that's online, that'd be fantastic. So I went online. First, I hired a college intern, got her to just kind of help me for 90 days while she was at home. I just taught her stuff that I was doing. I'd have her sit by me and I'd show her what I was doing. And I said, okay, write it all down. And then I want you to start to do it. But before the end of the summer, I want you to document everything you're doing. I want it in a Google Doc of everything you're doing. So then that created my job description for me to post. So then we created the post, we put it out there, and they're very clear of exactly what I needed. I found a woman who I overinvested in, but she had a team to support her. So we collaborated on probably 30 to 60 days, and we just kind of worked together. She asked questions, I answered questions. We just kind of worked together to find the best efficiencies, and I love a process and efficiencies. And so from that, we figured this out. And then about 60 days in, I said, do you have anybody in your team who could just manage this now that we've got the routine set? So she gave me a couple people to look at, and then ended up hiring this individual. And I like the fact that she was supporting moms that work in the US who just want to work from home. I didn't care really when the work got done. I had some work that needed to be just attended to from 9 to 11 just because of the LinkedIn hours that I wanted to be able to keep. And I said, besides that, I don't really care. Like, I'm just going to keep pushing and sharing stuff over to you. And I said, as we share and grow and figure this out, if you can just keep documenting it, that'll be helpful, because then I can remember what you're doing, because sometimes we don't need to keep doing that kind of stuff. And then the 2 hours turned into 5, and the 5 into 10, and then the 10 into 20. And I think now we're just like around 15 hours a week. And it's 15 hours a week that I get back in my life to be able to do stuff around here. And I just continue to shoot her Zoom videos, Loom videos, whatever it is, and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. And I really do. I don't give her a whole lot of stuff. I'm just like, hey, can you just figure this out? And it may not be 100% Catherine doing it, but it's 80% of what I would do. And that alone is giving me 100% of my time. And as a recovering perfectionist, I got to let it go. So this lady does a fantastic job, and just met her for the first time. We've worked together for probably a little over 2 years, and I just met her for the first time last month. She happened to be in the area 2 hours away from me. And I was like, oh, I want to come see you. And so it was so nice to get to meet her. She's awesome.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So I have to share that when we were collaborating on you coming onto the show, I asked, like, okay, tell me a little bit about your business. And the first thing in there was I would be nothing without my director of ops. And there are so many visionaries who feel that way, because she's building the business.
Yeah. And it's so cool because she does it when she has time. She's got 2 little kids, a husband. She wants to be able to have the time to be able to spend with her family. And I do ask her, I'm like, hey, I need a few extra things, or I need this by a certain deadline. So really communicating on that kind of stuff. And I'm like, if you got time to do it, that's great. If not, I'm going to have to jump in and do it. So just let me know. So we do have that communication. Most of the time I just send over the email, or if it's something that's just popping up last minute, we send a text. But we both know that, we've got dinner time. We both know that we've got time with the kids, time with the husbands, time for other people. And we just give each other that leeway to be able to do it. And so over the past couple of years, I said, what do you want a title? And she's like, yeah, I want a title. I'm like, great. What do you want to be called? And she's like, I don't know, I'm doing marketing. I was like, well, you're doing marketing and you're doing operations, like all that backroom stuff. And she was like, yeah, I think I like director of operations. I'm like, all right, congratulations. Now you're director of operations. And so she really does help me just manage all the stuff that's on the back end, lining up calls. And so we took my podcast in-house, and I wanted to figure out, how do we do that? And we documented some of this process, but then at some point, hey, do you want to, and I'll ask her, hey, do you want a new challenge? She was like, yeah. I was like, all right, how are we going to bring this in-house? And then she figures it out. But, I think she's having fun with it. I'm enjoying it. And when we got to meet for the first time, she said, it's kind of fun. I'm behind the scenes, and I'm just kind of making it work, and it's fun.
Yes. The woman behind the curtain. I love it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So can you describe some qualities that she has that you really love? Whether it's hard skills or soft skills, can you just speak to some of those?
Yeah, communication and willingness to be coached.
Oh,
Because I change my mind sometimes. Like I've been
the
known to
true
do, change
visionary?
my mind. Yeah. I'm like, well, let's do it this way, or let's experiment with this. And so, yeah, she's just willing for me to create changes. And I constantly tell her, I said, hey, I'm learning and growing. And as long as you are open and willing to grow with me and learn with me, then I think this is going to be fun. But don't be upset if I have suggestions on things I want to change or whatever it may be, or if the tone's not correct in certain posts and things like that. Is it okay if I jump in there? And she's like, oh no, this is awesome. And then we just continue to refine things. And it just may be a video of me talking and she's able to convert that into some content, or we find ways that just works. And so we constantly are changing how we're developing the content, because what I knew 6 months ago is different than what I knew 3 months ago, which is different from this month. And even right now, like we're using StreamYard right now. I just started using StreamYard, but like she'll research the different solutions. And I'm like, oh, let's try StreamYard for these LinkedIn Lives I'm doing Mondays at 1:30. And so we started doing that. And then I'm learning stuff in there of like, how do I take that to turn it into a newsletter, and some of these same topics, because not everybody watches videos. Some people want a newsletter. And so she's getting to understand my voice and position and comments and all that good stuff too. So I've got, another version of me that can step in. So when I'm here for this, and if somebody needs something, she can take care of it.
Oh gosh, I love this. So this is what I heard. Fantastic communication skills.
Oh
I
yeah.
heard I heard coachable, which I really love that one too. I also heard Mrs. Fix It or Mrs. Figure It Out. Also very, very important. I also heard takes technology and researches and figures out how to use it. And then lastly, which is what I am hearing all the time that visionaries need, is taking the content that they love to create and repurposing it for different learning styles.
Yes. And I don't
Oh,
always enjoy all the writing, and I
yeah.
remember having a coach early in, and they said, you don't have to write. What do you want to do? And so I experimented guesting on podcasts. And I was like, well, that's pretty cool. Well, maybe I'll start a podcast. But like all this stuff takes years to evolve. It doesn't just like pop in and happen. So I'm like, oh, I can show up and just be myself. And then she can listen to it and pull out information that helps me. And so we're just experimenting with LinkedIn Live and how we can create content based upon my coaching calls the week before. And then I can write down some topics and then I talk about it. And then we turn it into the written format. She can wordsmith a little bit for me. And then just let it go and know that it's not going to be perfect, but it's
Nope.
out there, and consistency wins, I hope.
We know consistency wins. We know, not we hope. We know. Definitely, definitely. So, questions about the other CEOs that you know. Are they working with online business managers, or are they looking for online business managers? How are they solving this issue that you're saying of, hey, I need to grow the business, but I need someone to take on all of the streamlining and processes, etc.?
I think everybody's at a different place in life. If I just focused on my old days of banking and corporate, they're most of them are just not that open to it, and I can listen to them complain about, "Oh my god, no one gets the job done." And really, when you think about it, they're going for butts and seats, and butts and seats isn't always gonna give you the result that you want. So you got to be in enough pain to create the change. So the pain of same has to hurt more than the pain of change in order for something to happen. And so you see a lot of new CEOs or newer businesses that are out there that are evolving, that are changing the way things are done. Those people, they don't really care where the person sits. They need XYZ done. And then I guess it depends on the size of the business and the size of the project. But I think there's enough opportunities. My word this year is abundance. I truly believe there's enough abundance for all of us. And you may not go get the big corporate job because that may require butts and seats. But if we have the patience and we open up our willingness to receive what is out in the universe, there's going to be something magical that comes to you. And it may be an 18-month project of working on something for part-time that then is going to open up some other door and other opportunity. I was recording a podcast with a guy in Minnesota. He's got a couple hundred employees, and he's got just a fascinating, just totally turned over the construction business. And the way he's able to increase efficiencies is because he only hires the best of the best. He says he looks for worldwide experts, brings them in for a short period of time, gets what they have, and then moves on to the next. Brings them in, gets what they have to offer, and then moves on to the next. He is accelerating the growth pattern because he pays more for really good people to come in and create an impact, learn what you can, apply what you can, and then move on to the next.
That is so smart. That is so, so, so smart. So if I understand what you're saying, he brings in these consultants, if you will, they help them figure out the problem, and then he hires someone else who's maybe less expensive to actually roll all of that out. Is that what, or do they stay with him?
They stay with him to be able to just implement it. But the
Oh,
impression I have is like they're going all in, but these people, they would be like that consultant. They're not a full time. He's hiring them for the expertise. And you have the people that have the expertise. So you don't need, to be able to go through that transition. Yeah, you may pay the same as a full time employee, but you don't need them for 3 and 5 years. You need them for 18 months to implement it, get the process in place, much like what I did with my virtual assistant, who's now my director of operations. Like, we started and we didn't know what we were doing, and then we refined it down. So now we create bandwidth because we can refine down these processes after we've created the change. And so he's hiring these people to help create the change, refine it, get it perfected, and then move it on to whatever needs to be refined next. And so your area of expertise with these people coming in, I think it sounds fun to go in for 12 to 18 months and work on stuff, create the change, and then be open to, well, where's the next avenue going to take us? And that ties into the importance of networking, which sometimes a lot of women, we're not doing a good job with it.
oh, do you have any thoughts on networking,
Mhm.
especially for this group who um, their lifestyle doesn't allow them to be a lot of face to face?
Yeah, you don't have to be face to face, and I can prove that. All of my networking is usually done on Zoom calls, and I struggled with that, and I would continue to make excuses about it. But really, we hear about this. I can't remember all the books that I've read, but write down 100 people you want to work with. Like, just write down, go through your Instagram, go through your Facebook, go through the best companies you want to work with, the up and coming, whatever it is. Gosh, even what's more fun is go to Help a Reporter Out, HARO. You told me about that one. And just start experimenting, reaching out to people and talking to people. So since we've chatted, I've re-engaged with it, and I'm like, oh, I totally forgot about that topic. And so you just start engaging with people. But write down, even if you can't come up with 100 names, come up with 50 people that you've worked with in the past, because those people are going to know people. And know what your ask is. Know that, this is my area of expertise. If you know anybody who's interested, let me know. And just keep me on the radar, and make a point to reach out to them on a quarterly basis or semi-annual basis, because what may not be open right now could be open down the road. And people talk to other people. And if you're intentional about showing up and having these conversations, only make them for like 20 minutes. Pop in, hey, want to let you know how I'm doing. How are you? This is what I'm working on. And, if you know anybody that needs help, let me know. And be sure to ask, how can I help you? Because they may have a project that you can help them with. And that gets you your foot in the door. So be intentional with it. Write down who you want to work with. Pick up the phone, send them an email, and say, hey, I'm in this world. I just have an opening from 2 to 3 in the afternoon before I go get the kids. Let's jump on a quick Zoom call.
Yes, we call this, or we talk about this a lot, like the Dream 100 or the
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
top 100 you want to work with, or whatever that is. And I think, and you nailed it. You have to end it with, how can I help you? And
Yeah.
not even in the sense of, how can my services help you, but just in
Mm-mm.
general, how can I help you? And I think bonus points, or at least this is what I've seen. We keep like a spreadsheet of all of this, or it's in our CRM, and we keep notes in there like, oh, it's Catherine's daughter's birthday in April. Be sure to send her a little happy birthday, or like happy anniversary of becoming a mom, just something like that. Because to your point at the very beginning, you're one character. As much as we would love to be, Katie and Catherine, you're
Mm-hmm.
one. And so
Mhm.
I highly recommend bringing in those personal touches as well. Versatile.
Something small, I think just sending people text messages. Hey, hope just was driving down the road and I saw XYZ sign and that made me think of you. I'd love to hear how things are going. You have 20 minutes. We can jump on the call maybe this week or next. Give them the option this week or
Yeah.
next, morning or
Yes.
afternoon. People,
Yes.
you can guide them down that path and you can nail down that time.
So great, so great. This has been fantastic. Catherine, any like words of wisdom that you would like to give anyone you want to end this with, and anyone in the chat, if you have any other questions, please, please, please bring them in.
I think know that you have everything that you need to be fully successful and believe in yourself and know that the services that you provide, there are people out there willing to pay good money for those services. You are highly, highly, highly skilled and the world needs you. So just keep showing up. Consistency is going to win and the world needs the work that you're doing. So don't give up.
Oh, amazing, amazing, amazing. And I have listened to quite a few episodes on your podcast. Will you share a little bit about your podcast and who it's for and the brilliance that you're sharing there?
Yeah, so the podcast, thank you for asking. The podcast is called Business Vitality. And I struggle with, what is this term of 20 years of corporate and leadership coaching? And like, how do I blend it all together? And as I go through this, it's not as if we're coming up with all these brand new innovative ideas, but there are certain things that businesses do year after year, decade after decade that remain vital. So these big businesses, they remain vital because they have certain skills, they got certain experiences that they always continue to fall back onto. And so business vitality is about sharing best practices of what's working in business, what's not working in business, how do we keep paying it forward. And so the podcast can be found on Apple and Amazon, Spotify, all those good places. We've got a number of episodes out there, and Ashley, you're on one of those that are coming out. So I'm excited about that. And then I'm also going to do a business vitality masterclass on May 22nd. It's a Monday. I'm going to do a LinkedIn Live, 1:30 Eastern. It's only going to be for 90 minutes. And it's actually going to be all the stuff that I do with my clients to create 100% measured results. So if you want to figure out how to up-level your leadership and your impact with the work that you're doing for 90 minutes, we're going to go through, what's working for you, what do you want to change going forward, and we're going to create an action plan. And then if you want to go implement it and give it a shot, I'd love to hear from you, but we're going to condense it into 90 minutes just to see how do we crunch it all in to really get the biggest bang for the buck. And that's on May 22nd, 1:30 on Eastern on LinkedIn Live.
Amazing. Do you have a link to register for that, or is it just show up at that time?
You can register for that. If you just go out to my page, you'll see the events, and it's called the Business Vitality Masterclass.
Perfect. I'll be sure to put that link in our show notes and send it out to everyone. I may be attending that.
I would love that.
Right
yes.
up my alley.
It's so fun.
Yes, fantastic. So it looks like we do have one question. Let me find it. So what is the most common mistake that we budding ambitious online business managers should avoid?
Always being correct. Always being right 100% of the time. Got to have a little bit of humility in there and know, hey, that didn't go like I thought. But next time, this is what we're going to do. It's going to be better. So just have a little bit of humility along the way because we're all making mistakes and we cannot think we did it perfect every single time.
Oh, fantastic. Catherine, thank you, thank you, thank you. I so appreciate your time. It was just a wonderful conversation. I could talk to you for hours. Thank you for all the work you're doing and all of this wonderful insight that you brought to our community. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for having me. And anything you need, Ashley, let me know. I'm here to support you.
Oh, right back at you. Right back at you. Well, thank you, everyone. Just a quick reminder that we are bringing back our OBM opportunity, our 5-day free workshop where we're teaching you what an OBM is, who do they work for, what's a day in the life, how to get clients, the whole shebang. So we will put that link in the comments here, and I will see you next week where we have a guest and we're talking all about marketing funnels, which I know is all of your favorite, not so favorite topic. So I'm very, very, very excited to chat with all of you today. And yes, see you next week.